What's up everyone, Ryan from Addicted to Nature, and today I got my plants in the mail. We are finally going to escape this 20-gallon long here, and really excited for the planting. But before we start, if you want to see a longer, more detailed version where I go through all of my plant choices as well as their care and the hardscape, there are two videos that I'm gonna link in the description down below. So go ahead and click that if you are interested. All right, let's get started. So, starting off is the Dwarf Baby Tears. This is such a beautiful plant. It's got tiny leaves, and that's why I'm planting this far into the back so that it's going to give me a really nice sense of depth. Also, I plant this high up in the substrate because this plant requires lots of light and CO2. So if you don't have CO2, I don't recommend getting this plant. Once it does have high light and good CO2 though, it will carpet and it's going to look beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So this plant, I give this a 10 out of 10. And the next part is the Monte Carlo. I have this up in the front because while the Monte Carlo leaves are small, they're not as small as the Dwarf Baby Tears. They're actually about 2 to 3 times as big. So having this in the front will give me that nice sense of depth. Monte Carlo is a nice carpeting plant. It doesn't require CO2 to grow, so you can use this in instead of HC Cuba if you don't have CO2 in your tank. And the next part is the Cryptocoryne wendtii green. If you don't trim it at all and let it grow by itself, it's going to get much taller, about 30 centimeters, about a foot. But with constant trimming and high light, this plant gets much smaller. It's about 10 centimeters or so. So that's why I use it to cover up the gaps in the foreground of my dragon stone. And I do expect this plant to melt back and send out submersed leaves. Next is the Tiger Lotus bulb. I'm going to make sure it's the right side up, and I'm just going to stick this in the substrate like that. It's going to be my centerpiece plant here. And the next plant is Hygrophila pinnatifida. This is a nice fern-looking stem plant that doesn't need to stay in the substrate, so I'm just going to toss this between the gaps of the dragonstone, have it grow in and shade the Cryptocoryne. And finally, we move on to the Epiphytes. These are all Bucephalandra species, and I tried to pick varieties where the leaves are all nice, long, and wavy. It's going to contrast pretty nice with the Anubias I'm going to put on the other side. Now, Bucephalandra is a rhizome species, so it can't go in the substrate, it'll die on you, which is why I'm using super glue to glue all of these onto the dragonstone. Bucephalandra also grows really slowly, even with high light, even with CO2, which is why they're probably so dang expensive. And we're finally moving on to the other side. On the Seiryu Stone, I'm gluing Anubias Nana Petite. My goal for this side is to have it be much more young looking, much more modern and clean as compared to the Dragonstone side, so we're not going to add too many plants here. We're finally going to use a little bit of Microsword for highlighting. And in the front, I add a little bit of the Anubias Nana. It's a bigger version of the Nana Petite that we have in the back, so it's going to give me a nice sense of depth. I also added a little bit of the Bucephalandra Dark Blue because its color just goes so well with the Seiryu Stone. And finally, we have Anubias Marble White. This is going to be my centerpiece on the right side. It's going to be smack dab in the center of the focal point, the top of the hill there, and this is just a white variety of Anubias. It's got little green specks on it, and I'm just going to stick that in the rock. Hopefully it grows for me. It's right in the center of the focal point, like I said, and once this is done, we are officially done with planting the aquarium. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope it was as fun to watch as it was fun for me to make. And if you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, just add it in the comments below. On to the music video.